Spell your last name for the record. For the sake of fairness and to give everyone a chance to speak, the chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. Written testimony will be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53201-2181, or fax to 414-475-8071, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Just as a reminder, Robert's Rules of Order dictates that all comments, questions, and requests should be directed to the chair of the committee, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. The board appreciates and encourages stakeholder input and assumes that members of the public will participate in a civil manner. Conduct that prevents the good order of the meeting will not be tolerated. Anyone who engages in behavior that persistently disrupts the meeting may be removed from the meeting. Anyone ejected from the meeting may continue to listen to the meeting or access the agenda items online. However, the individual will not be allowed to rejoin the meeting. No one other than members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after meetings of the board and its committees. For our listening audience, if you wish to access this evening's agenda items and attachments online, you may do so by visiting the meetings, agendas, and minutes page of the MPS website. Before we begin, Madam Secretary, we are going to change the order of the agenda and flip items 10 and 11. Now let's begin. Madam Secretary, item 1.
Madam Chair, item 1 is action on monthly personnel matters, action on classified personnel transactions, action on certificated appointments, action on leaves of absence, report on resignations and retirements, and the affirmative action report. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions, appointments, and leaves as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran, members of the board, Dr. Brenda Caselli, Superintendent. The administration requests your approval of the monthly personnel matters as attached in this month's report. I have with me Carol Eady to answer any questions you have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips on this item.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Oh, Director Jackson.
I move to approve the administration's recommendation.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Reza?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
And Chair O'Halloran?
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 2 is action on recommended administrative appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, salary increases, decreases, and limited-term employment contracts exceeding 60 days. The recommendation is that the board approve the appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, salary increases, decreases, and limited-term employment contracts exceeding 60 days as listed in the attachments to the item to be effective upon approval by the board.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran, members of the board, Dr. Brenda Caselli, Superintendent. The administration requests your approval of this item as it pertains to recommendations for appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, as well as salary increases or decreases in LTE employment. I have with me Carol Eady to respond to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, do any members of the public wish to make comments?
They do not.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Herndon.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of administration.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Reza?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
And Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. And before we proceed to the next item, on behalf of the board, I would like to congratulate all of the candidates listed in the previous 2 items. You are now one step closer to appointment, promotion, or transfer. Thank you so much for bringing your talents to serve the community of Milwaukee. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 3 is action on Resolution 2526R-001 by Director Zomber and O'Halloran on lead safety. The recommendation is that the board adopt Resolution 2526R-001 on lead safety as presented in the revised attachment.
Thank you. And I just want to note that there is a revised attachment. So for those following along, please ensure that you are looking at the correct attachment. Director Zombor, you are the lead sponsor of this resolution. Would you like to make any comments, please?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. So, yes, there is a revised version attached, and I just want to point out there's a few changes that actually came from some more recent conversations with the Milwaukee Health Department. Just a couple things that they wanted us to add to the resolution around lead screening requirements for applicable facilities staff, and then just making sure that we're working towards increasing the number of students screened for lead. And then also just ongoing family and student education regarding lead hazards. So I'm not going to read through the whole resolution. I do want to start off by thanking Director O'Halloran for co-sponsoring, thanking the community members who really worked with me, asking really good questions and telling us what was important to see from the administration, what families needed to see to regain trust that the work is being done and it's being done safely. So just a few, overall, this is about the health and well-being of our students, but more specifically, it directs administration to create clear lead safety admin policies and procedures. Those would include key practices and expectations from the MPS lead action plan. It also would require a regular reporting schedule to the board on progress made towards the lead action plan, paint-related work order data, response times, as well as staffing levels of workers dedicated to lead safety and surveillance within the district. Those reporting would be monthly through the duration of all the work for the lead plan, and then eventually quarterly once we get through the plan. A public-facing dashboard to show progress made toward the MPS lead action plan recommendations. Just want to add for the dashboard, we're really looking for something more than just a PDF. This is something that gets updated. It could just be like the Google Doc as facilities is working on it, taking that and having it be more of a live dashboard, not just like a static document. It's something that is more real time. Also looking for, it would require that lead surveillance documentation be added to annual school audits. Every school goes through annual audit plan of activities, and so making sure that one of the checks we have to make sure this doesn't fall through the cracks is that that this gets added to those annual school audits. And then the reporting tool on the website so that families, staff, students know that there's a place to go that they can report any concerns. So again, met with community members, we met with the Milwaukee Health Department. They were very supportive of the items in this resolution. They believe it will help them monitor progress towards the lead action plan. And again, the underlined recommendations are based on things they wanted to see in addition to the original resolution. But at the root of this, there just needs to be accessible communication to our families and staff about the work that's being planned, how that work is being prioritized, and then how families can be assured the work is being completed safely. What has been completed, and then communication protocols families and staff can expect moving forward. I know some of this we've already started doing, but just making sure that we're really keeping a close eye on it and not forgetting about the work that's being done. And then I think the last thing I'll add is I hope that this gives families peace of mind. And so again, thank you for everyone who helped work on this.
Thank you, Director Zombor. I'm just going to pass the gavel and say 2 quick little comments, and then we can go to administration for comments and to the public for testimony. I just wanted to start by thanking, actually, President Zombor for your leadership on this in taking the initiative to meet with families and hear about the types of information that they feel they need to see in order to feel comfortable, coming into our schools. And I also want to thank administration. I think that I know that the work is ongoing and probably feels like kind of a marathon at a sprint pace. And so I know the work feels overwhelming, but I think looking at these reporting requirements, some may see it as punitive, but I think it really is a chance for us to share about all of the work that we're doing and tell the story of how we're meeting our deadlines and our expectations for our families. So I just wanted to thank everybody. And with that, I'm going to take the gavel back.
Gavel has returned.
Okay. And administration, do you have any comments or would you like to respond to the item?
Yeah. Chair O'Halloran, members of the board, Dr. Brenda Casella, superintendent, at the April 25 meeting, you reviewed and modified the version resolution 25263R001 and recommended the board adopt this resolution. I just wanted to say that we will continue to work with the board. I'm grateful that you are also listening to the public and that there is greater transparency around our work that we're doing on the lead action plan. I have Mike Terza here with me to answer any questions that you may have about the plan. We have been meeting as a senior team, just even today. We were meeting and talking about the modified proposal here in the resolution before us and what we could do with our action plan, particularly the dashboard with consultants and the type of dynamic dashboard that Director Zombor was talking about with some exciting opportunities in the future to consult with some of our partners on that. I also had a meeting with Children's Hospital and talking about how we would better screen our students today as well. And then also our communications team and our facilities team working together on how we communicate to our families more effectively and making sure that the messages are getting through. So I'm very appreciative of this lead action resolution. I think it matches what we have in the lead safety plan, and it's just what we need for transparency to the public and to keep us all accountable. So very appreciative, and I recommend adoption of this resolution.
Thank you, administration. If it's okay with the committee, I'm just going to go straight to public testimony. We can start with, I think we have one virtual speaker.
We do have one virtual speaker. Angela Harris, are you there? Miss Angela Harris, are you online?
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. Point of information for the board clerk before I start my testimony.
Yes.
Can I ask, would it be in line with the resolution to talk about the decluttering and classroom cleanup at the end of the year?
It's not really connected to what the resolution calls for in itself, but you could provide the board with a communication regarding that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So Angela Harris, Harris. Good evening, Superintendent Casilius and members of the committee. I want to begin by acknowledging the urgency and importance of this resolution. Lead safety is not just a facilities issue, it's a matter of public health and educational equity. I appreciate Director Zombor and O'Halloran for bringing this resolution forward and naming what many of us have been living with quietly for too long. That said, the April 24th directive for district-wide classroom decluttering and cleanup has sparked real concern among staff. The expectations feel overwhelming and unrealistic. Teachers are being asked to continue providing full instruction through the very last day of school and completely clear classrooms of decades-old materials, personal belongings, and outdated furniture without any extra time, support, or compensation. This feels like a top-down decision made without considering educator capacity. especially when many of our buildings already lack adequate custodial staffing to handle basic cleaning. If we can't keep our schools and classrooms fully clean now, how are we expected to take on this massive undertaking over the summer? So I respectfully ask, how is this timeline determined and what staffing support is being provided? Could this process be tiered, prioritizing schools with the highest lead exposures first? And most importantly, if teaching continues until the final day, will the district commit to providing teachers with up to 3 compensated days after the last student day to complete the required decluttering and ensure it's done properly and safely? I believe in the power of collaboration, and I believe this process can work if it's paired with genuine respect for the people doing the work. Let's just not act with urgency. Let's act with care, transparency, and shared responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Harris. Now I will call Ron Jansen. So please state your last name and spell it for the record. Jill's working on it.
Good?
Okay, now
All
I
right,
can hear
perfect.
you.
Great,
Okay.
thank you. My name's Ron Jansen, last name Jansen. I'm proud to say that I'm part of a community group that includes parents from multiple impacted schools that helped write the language included in this item. As a concerned MPS parent, the constant state of crisis in this district startles me. I want public schools to thrive here in Milwaukee, but that isn't going to happen if the district can't get its act together and start building trust with parents. We need open, honest communication on this issue and many others. I implore the district and the administration to act quickly to put this policy in place. Without it, parents will continue to be left in the dark in relation to the safety of their children's school, and every family deserves to know that they are sending their children to a school that is clean and safe. No child should be poisoned while at school, whether through lead or any other method. I appreciate Director Zambor and Director O'Halloran for putting this forward, and I ask that the board approve this package. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jansen. I did want to note that we did receive quite a bit of support in written form via email, and one of the written testimony that we received asked that we pass it and also commented on the decluttering. So maybe that's something not for tonight, but a topic to be discussed at a later date. Do committees wish to add, or do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Jackson?
Yeah.
Was it a hand raise?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I can appreciate this resolution coming from you and Director Zumbar, and especially with the help that Dr. Consellis, you've been doing thus far. Unfortunately, a lot of things just fell into your lap, and you've been able to manage and navigate these waters. So I appreciate your efforts as well. And moving forward, whoever may be the new director of operations dealing with Department of Facility and Maintenance, that they do a better job, and we will make sure that they do a better job in making sure we are timely and schedule various issues dealing with this lead crisis that we had to unfortunately deal with.
Thank you, Director Jackson. Director Herndon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to say thank you to everyone that has been involved on this item as well. And I certainly have an appreciation for the item that makes it a part of the annual school audits. I think that is very, very critical. I happen to be a board director that reads every one of those audits that comes across my path. And they contain a lot of information, but they also contain a lot of pointers or items that we maybe need to take a second look at. So I certainly appreciate that, and thank you.
Thank you, Director Herndon. Okay, Director Zambor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. Okay, I know we're trying to stay towards the resolution, but I do think the decluttering conversation relates, because it is related to making sure the buildings can be cleaned. So if the chair is okay, could administration just talk a little bit about what the current practice is, even just for the community to understand what we're doing? I think parents would like to know. And then also, how are we supporting teachers? On my way here, I was already on the phone with 2 teachers talking about this, so I think it's super relevant, and because we're going to keep hearing about it.
And I do see that it's related to the item. So administration, would you care to just respond to that, please?
Chair O'Halloran, Director Zombor, I'm just going to make a few comments, having been a former teacher who likes to put a lot of stuff on the walls and bring in a lot of materials for their students. I know that this can be quite challenging for teachers to move, and it's also quite challenging for our building engineers and our department staff to be able to get them in there. And the particular challenge is, every year our teachers have to do this in the summertime to do the deep clean that we do every year in our school buildings. However, this time we really need everything removed. So it's a different kind of clean that's required, and we'll have folks who are not typically in our buildings as well. Contractors and such, painters, and folks who aren't part of our normal school community, our normal building engineers and service workers who are such great partners with our teachers every day, keeping our buildings clean and safe for our students. So it is something that is a high priority for us to do. However, I also understand the need for teachers to have time and the care that our speaker spoke to around, helping them with it. So I wanted our Deputy Superintendent, Eduardo Galvan, to speak about what we are able to do. I know that they were meeting with the MTA even just today, and have been working with them on how we could do this within really what we have as, scarce resources, to be able to address kind of the needs that are out there in the building. So I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Superintendent Galvan to talk about what we're able to do.
Yeah, thank you. Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Eduardo Galvan. As Superintendent Caselius mentioned, this process of closing out school years is a normal process that's done every year. Obviously, this year, the importance is a little bit higher than normal because we do have to get into the buildings. One of the things that, as we initially started going through this process and walking some of our buildings with the state and the city, they made mention of the fact that we had some buildings where we had a large amount of things that maybe aren't as needed in the building anymore. Whether that is old furniture, whether that is old curriculum. So we've established a process for that to be taken care of so that when our contractors, and just as a general practice to be able to get our buildings clean more effectively and more efficiently, we want to, in essence, declutter or get rid of some of the things that have accumulated over the years. We have teachers change classrooms, administrators move to a different building, and sometimes we just inherit, and any of us that have homes know sometimes things accumulate over the years. So this is kind of a process to get rid of some of the things that we don't need. So what we have asked is that, as we survey our priority schools based upon the schools that we're going to get at first, we want teachers to identify materials that need to be removed. We are not asking teachers to remove any of those items themselves. We will have movers that are able to do that and willing to do that, and we're going to make sure that they do that. If a teacher wants to remove some items, they certainly can box that, but what we're asking them to do is use a system of different colored tapes to kind of identify that. So then when we have the movers coming in, they will certainly do that process. They will box, they will move items, they will do anything that needs to be done. Again, just to reiterate, we're not asking the teachers to do that work. If they want to, they certainly can, depending upon your own personality and what you feel comfortable with. We are also not asking this to be done with any items that they are using or need to instruct. That will not happen prior to the end of the school year. Again, we are asking them to identify whether there's things in a coat room, in a different place, things that they simply know that they don't want or need, and we will remove those items based upon a schedule. And again, we're going to tackle our highest priority schools first. So come that last day of school, the next day, we expect to be able to get in there and start tackling, because we have a very aggressive timeline in terms of getting to those tier 1 or priority schools over the summer. So we need to start right away. So that's the process that we set out in place. So again, to reiterate, we're not asking teachers to, nor will we be removing anything that they need to instruct before the end of the school year. However, any items that they identify that they don't need, or any items that they inherited over the years, any spaces within a building that have become kind of a storage area, any old curriculum, all of those things we will remove. And we'll do that when students are not present.
Thank you. President Zambor, do you have any follow-up?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. I just wonder if there's a disconnect, because I still keep hearing from teachers who think that they have to have everything packed up by June 1st. And I know we talked about this, and that's not, can you just clarify that June 1st date or where that's coming from? Because you're probably going to have 100 people rewatching this meeting to get the
Wonderful.
answers.
Administration?
Yeah, Chair O'Halloran, Director Zambor. Again, June 1st was a date that we wanted to begin the process of identifying those materials, again, because we're going to have a really quick turnaround. So again, what that entails is simply, again, and to reiterate, part of our process is every summer when we do our summer clean, we remove everything from a classroom. And we do have those procedures where we should be taking down bulletin boards. We should be, taking home plants. Any of those things, personal items that a teacher brings home, should always be taken home. So again, what we're asking is that on June 1st, or even now, we're having some surveys done of the buildings. So some of our moving companies, our painting companies, different facilities members are going into these buildings that are going to be kind of the priority schools to begin. And again, we're simply asking that the teachers identify items. Again, we're not asking them to pack anything. Again, if they want to, they certainly can. We're not taking any materials that are currently used for instruction out of any classroom prior to the end or the last student day. And we'll work on a communication to staff so that they can understand that a little bit more clearly.
Thank you. President Zambor?
Okay, one last question.
One
Thank you, Chair
more.
O'Halloran. So I know there's priority schools that are going to, that have been identified to have the work done earlier. Are there different communications going out to different schools based on that priority level, or is the timeline the same for all schools?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran, Director Zambor. Again, currently there is a survey going on, so we're looking at those schools that we've identified with the health department and our team, and then we'll make adjustments based upon that, based upon this final kind of survey to see which schools we're going to get into first. We will be communicating that to principals and staff members so that they know. We've already sent out a communication that this survey is occurring. So that when there's a group of about 3 to 4 people that will go out to the buildings and assess them and look at them and determine the amount of work in those individual spaces. So we will be communicating that as well. And then our hope is to get through that first tier and then move on to the second and third tier.
Sorry.
Thank
last
you.
question.
President Zambor?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. And so then another question that I'm getting is for some of the high schools, and I'm not getting this from the school, but looking at Bradley Tech, which, by the way, nice sweatshirt, Director Jackson. It's a newer school. It's a high school. Is the same process that's happening in the priority schools going to happen in all of the schools, or is that going to look a little bit different because it's a school that was built pretty recently?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran, Director Zambor. The process of decluttering and identifying that is the same. And the deep clean process itself is the same. With a school such as Bradley Tech or any of the schools that are lower on that priority list, obviously the intensity or the the elevated quickness with which we go into those schools won't be that. But again, our end goal is also to make sure that, anything that shouldn't be in the building isn't in the building. I think that's just helps us clean, helps us maintain, helps us provide a more kind of consistent and safe environment for our students to be in.
Thank you, administration. Yes, Director Reza.
For the teachers getting, all their supplies and everything all together, are there supplies like, boxes or anything going to be provided for the teachers as it is? Another question added to this. I know that personal items they should be taken as it is, but on one of the lists that I've noticed is like the fans. Classrooms get hot, especially during the summer, and especially when it comes to the ventilation system as it is. They feel like they're putting rush that by June 1st, everything has to be. So is there going to be more clarity of a list, that for that, the teachers?
Administration, so I heard, one, are we providing boxes and supplies for
teachers?
For the teachers, and then two, I've heard about the fans
Yeah.
as well. Can we talk about the fans, please?
Yeah.
Certainly. Chair O'Halloran, Director Reza, members of the committee, Eduardo Galvan. Again, we will provide boxes. Boxes have been provided, but again, I want to reiterate, that's up to an individual teacher whether or not they want to box items or not, right? That depends upon whoever you are, and, I might want to box them, somebody else might not, right? But as long as they're identified, that will be done for them. Fans can stay until the end of the year. And then if they're a personal fan, they should be taken home.
Thank you. Is that good, Director Reza? Okay. Oh, Office of Administration, or Office of Accountability and Efficiency.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. Just to piggyback on what Director Herndon said, I just wanted to voice the opinion of the board's chief auditor. They're also in support of the language for the role of audit and a holistic and collaboration with the administration approach to ensuring that we have safe buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson.
Absolutely. I move that we approve this resolution that was set forth to the committee.
All right, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve Resolution 2526R-001, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 4 is action on monthly finance matters, authorization to make purchases, report on change orders in excess of $25,000, acceptance of the report on revenues and expenditures, report on contracts under $50,000, and cumulative total report, report on monthly grant awards, acceptance of donations. The recommendation is that the board authorize the purchases and accept the donations as listed in the attachments, with appropriate acknowledgement to be made on behalf of the board.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the board, Brenda Caselli as superintendent. For this item, the administration is requesting your approval of the monthly finance matters. Janine Adamczyk is here with me to address any questions you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We do not have any speaker slips on this.
Okay. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? No? I did have a question. I'm just going to put myself in the queue. I see that HYA is on there for a number of cabinet-level positions. Can you just share the cabinet-level positions that are being promoted or you're recruiting for, and how anybody who is listening could go find those positions?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair O'Halloran and members of the board, Brenda Caselli as superintendent. We are contracting with HYA to help us with our cabinet level position searches. We want to get the best and brightest, both internal and external. Folks who are interested in those positions can go to the HYA website. I think it's hya.com. I think it is. Someone can double check me, but I think.
HYAsearch.com.
Oh, hyasearch.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the same search committee or firm that supported us, and we already had an existing contract with them, so it seemed to make sense to go with them. And that's how folks can apply for the job. I believe it'll also be posted on our website as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other committee members? Director Jackson?
Short question. That's part of e-notify too that'll go out?
I'm sorry?
Is that also will be included with e-notify?
The e-notify system. So are you
Yeah.
saying, are the job positions
Yes.
going to be shared out through
Yes.
e-notify? Is like
I'm
the
still
city, the
learning about
county, MPS, we all, you can sign up to get notices as the public through e-notify. And so I think the question is, are these job positions going to be shared out through the e-notify system as well? And I'm not even sure if that's an administration question or an Office of Board Governance question.
I
Maybe.
believe the e-notify announcements go out through the Office of Board Governance. So if the administration would like us to send that out on their behalf, we would be happy to.
Even better.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Any follow-up, Director Jackson? All right. Oh, Director Herndon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question on the revenues and expenditures. This one in particular, the construction fund. If you could explain the negative 188%.
Okay, administration, I think there is someone new coming to the table. Okay, administration.
It takes a while to.
Chair O'Halloran and Director Herndon, the reason that the construction fund looks like that, it's actually been like that the whole time we've been bringing these forwards. It has to do with the encumbrances. And so as those encumbrances get taken off, the expenditures are slowly going down. So it looks like they're overspent, but they're really not. It's just the way how the reporting works. So that's why it is.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers the question.
I was concerned.
Director Herndon, does that answer that satisfies? Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, and I forgot to introduce myself, sorry. I just am a Chief Financial Officer.
We'll cut you some slack. It's not like you don't have anything else going on, right? Any other committee members, questions, comments, maybe a motion? Director Jackson.
Absolutely. And this will, okay, got you. Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the administration recommendation moving forward with this.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 5 is action on the award of professional services contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent. It is our request that the contract extension for the Mainstream Development Education Group be pulled at this time without approval. The administration further recommends the board approve all remaining contracts as listed. Janine Adamczyk is here with me to assist with any questions you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We do not have any speakers.
Okay. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? President Zombor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran, and it's okay if you don't have this information handy, you could always send it. I'm just wondering which schools are using PlayWorks.
Administration?
Sorry.
I'll give them 1 minute to look it up.
Director Zombor, Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Janine Adamczyk, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. I will have to get that information to you, and we will have that to you tomorrow morning.
Okay. Thank you so much. Sorry, I should have asked for that ahead of time so you knew it was coming.
Oh, wait. A new person has entered the stage. Perhaps the answer is coming imminently?
I spoke too soon.
Director Halloran, Director Zombor, members of the committee, Dr. Deborah Bowling, Fine Arts Manager. The schools that were served during the 24-25 school year were Barton, Brownstedt, Browning, Franklin, Humboldt Park, King Elementary School, La Follette, Lowell, Milwaukee Spanish Immersion, Rogers Street, Derfler, Cass, Honey Creek, Kluge, and Morgandale.
President Zambor, any follow-up? Do any other committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay, I do have a question. I know we pulled the mainstream contract.
Would you like to pass the gavel?
And I think just, okay,
Guess you don't need to.
yes, I can.
I have the gavel.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So for the owners group, can you just explain a little bit, because the write-up says that it's for non-public school students, and it's a $15 million contract, and so I think it's just of interest to the public to explain a little bit about this expenditure, seeing that it's such a large contract provided for non-public school students and non-public school personnel.
Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Shelley Perkins, Director of State and Federal Programs. As MPS is the local educational agency that receives federal funds under ESCA, and so as part of receiving those funds, the district is required to provide equitable services to Milwaukee resident students attending private schools, whether those private schools are in district or out of district. So that means whether they're in Milwaukee or outside of Milwaukee, we're responsible for providing those services, and we provide those services through a third-party service provider. And those service providers are responsible for hiring the teachers to provide Title I instruction to the Milwaukee resident students, providing professional development to the teachers of those students, as well as family engagement activities for the parents of those students.
Any follow-up?
No, I just had one other comment about, not specifically about this item, but that we will be asked to approve a certain number of transportation contracts tonight for orthopedically impaired and specialty programs, and I did confirm with the Department of Transportation that the spend is for a 3-year period. It's effective July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2028. So it is quite a lot of money, but it's, for a 3-year period. And so I just wanted to bring that forward in the interest of informing the public about some of these large contracts that we have. I'll take the gavel back, please. Thank you.
Pass the gavel back.
Thank you. Do any other committee members have questions or wish to make comments or perhaps make a motion? Director Reza? Oh, just kidding.
Yep. There you go.
Am I saying that correctly?
Go ahead.
You got
You're free
this.
to make mistakes.
Yes.
I move forward to the action on the reward for professional service.
Yep.
For the contracts
As attached.
as attached to this item, agenda item.
And the only pieces you would have to note the exception of the contract with Mainstream Development, because the administration pulled that piece from it. So just a
Sorry,
little
we
piece.
really gave you a tough one, didn't we?
You did.
So,
So yes.
Yes.
We can-
Okay, on Director Reza's motion to approve the administration's recommendation to approve the professional service contracts with the exception of the contract with Mainstream Development Edu Group, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, what is the next item, please?
Item 6 is action on the request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and extend professional services contracts for teletherapy services. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional service contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
I think I might have got my papers mixed up. Just one moment.
No worries.
Chair O'Halloran and members of the board, Brenda Cassellius, Superintendent. The items before you this evening's agenda is a request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09 to extend the contract for teletherapy services. I have with me Ms. Janine Adamczyk and Dr. Travis Pinter to answer any questions you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips on this item.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Jackson.
Yeah, so with the teletherapy, with the services, how does that work? Is it divided in schools? Is it applied to all students? How does that work?
Administration.
Director Jackson, Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Travis Pinter, Senior Director of Specialized Services. This was, it is extended, it's offered to all schools equally. Families and students can take advantage of up to 8 sessions, and that was funded via some grant money that followed ESSER. So we started it in ESSER, we learned some about it, and we've extended it now into this period, and we're still kind of assessing the results of that, but everyone has that option, and students tend to get referred through our psychologists or social workers in the building through various means, and then they reach out to the family and see if they're interested.
Gotcha, all right.
Director Jackson, any follow-up?
No, that's all, thank you.
Okay. Do any other committee members have questions or wish to make comments? I do have a question, but it's more about how to proceed from here. So it says action on the request to waive administrative policy. Do we need to waive administrative policy and then approve the contracts, or can we do it all in one fell swoop?
All in one fell swoop.
Okay. Director Zombor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. I move to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and approve the administration's recommendation to extend professional services contracts for teletherapy services.
Thank you. Is there any further comments or questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and extend professional services contracts for teletherapy services. Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Reza.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 7 is action on the award of exception to bid contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the exception to bid contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Cassellius, Superintendent, we're asking your approval of this month's exception to bid contracts. Janine Adamczyk is with me to assist with any questions you may have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
They do not.
All right. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I don't see any. All right. I'll give it one more second. Perhaps someone can mull over a motion while we're considering questions. President Zombor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. I move approval of the administration's recommendation to authorize the exception to bid contracts as set forth in the attachments.
Thank you. I do have one question. I forgot. So I will pass the gavel, but we have a motion, so I can do that, correct? All right.
I have the gavel. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Can administration just speak a little bit about the unbounded learning professional development contract? It's, I think, for 3 days, and it's like $1 million. And I just was hoping to hear a little bit more about, I think it was 378 seats available for these 3 days. So just hoping to hear a little bit more about the professional development that, we're hoping our staff members may receive.
Administration.
Chair Herndon, Director O'Halloran, members of the committee, Janina Domchik, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. This training will be held for 3 days and will consist of 32 hours of intensive standards-based professional development focused on unpacking K-5 state literacy standards. And this will be offered to 308 K-5 through grade 5 teachers and 70 district and school leaders representing 43 schools.
Thank you.
Any follow-up?
Nope. I'll take
With
the
that,
gavel
I'll
back.
pass the gavel back.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions, comments before I ask Madam Secretary to please call the roll?
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation on the award of exception to bid contracts, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 8 is action on monthly facilities matters. FMS award of construction, emergency contracts, and emergency purchases recommendation. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached construction contracts, emergency contracts, and emergency purchases.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Vice Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, I'm Brenda Caselius, Superintendent. We're asking your approval of this month's facilities matters before you as they pertain to construction and professional service contracts. I have with me Michelle Lenski to address any questions you have, and Mr. Mike Terza.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips.
Okay. Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? President Zombor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. I do have a question on the JCP construction lead safe renovation. There's a $10 million contract. That's an emergency purchase report. I'm wondering if the administration can talk a little bit more about the basis for the contract, how the provider was selected, and then any of the goods or services procured under this contract.
Administration?
Director O'Halloran, Director Zombor, Mike Terza, Interim Director of Facilities and Maintenance. Early on, we realized that we were going to need to hire a contract manager to do this job, to do all of the schools was something beyond the capacity of our current staff to do. And so we went through a process of submitting an RFP for vendors to look at. 3 companies did respond to the RFP. And after an evaluation process, we selected JCP as being the most qualified, the ones who we felt was the greatest, had the greatest ability to fulfill the job. Because it was something that we couldn't slip on. We needed to have all of these schools done by the start of the school year. And so they passed our evaluation, and then we went through a process of establishing a contract for them, and then having them sign the contract and moving forward. The amount of money of $10 million is for the whole project going through the end of August. JCP's contract for that is approximately $1.1 million of that. The rest is for painters, movers, various other ancillary services. JCP has the responsibility of not only contracting or managing the process, but they hire the painters, pay the movers, everything flows through them. And this contract is set up to do that. All of the fees are based on time and materials, and they were within our normal range, and they were competitively established.
Thank you. President Zombor, do you have any follow-up questions? No? Any other committee members? Director Jackson?
Yes, not necessarily related to what's right here, but with certain schools. So for instance, I know last year I had put a request for, I forgot the agency that we did the long-range facilities master plan with, to do a walkthrough through King, to do an assessment and the scope of work, and it never happened. So if I can, with the interim director, to schedule that to happen with King as well as Townsend.
Administration? Just Okay. I see nodding of heads in acknowledgement of your request, and so if there's any, assistance needed from the Office of Board Governance, I'm sure we can all put our heads together and make sure that this gets accomplished. Do we have any other? I have a question on the $10 million, and I can pass the gavel.
I have the gavel. Go ahead, please.
For the 10 million, we have certain requirements within our own contracts for like student hours and other needs. So those does that pass through then? I guess I'm looking at OAE, but I was just wondering if the same standards that apply to the direct contracts would then flow through to the people who are kind of maybe subcontracting from this?
Administration. OAE, please.
Thank you, Chair Herndon, Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. So in order to give precision to that answer, what I'd like to do is actually review precisely that language, and I can follow up before the full board meeting.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I see administration speaking. Would one of you like to go ahead, please?
Yes. So as part of the process of issuing this contract, we did submit the paperwork through the procurement office, and they did pass it through the Contract Compliance Services Office. And so at this time, there are no requirements on this contract of that nature. However, I'm really pleased to announce that JCP is actually a hub contractor. Many of the painting firms, or several of them, are actually hub contractors also. So I think, although we may not be incorporating the student aspect, I think we have definitely hit the jackpot with some of the local firms that we're able to use for this work.
Any follow-up?
Yes, can you just ask that hub be defined for the listening audience, so we're not all using acronyms that maybe are very meaningful to us, but for the listening audience, doesn't mean much?
Chair O'Halloran, Director Zomber. Sure. Hub is historically underutilized businesses.
As well as coin if we can.
We are not using coin on this one.
Not this one, okay.
Yep. And coin is community opportunity in need. I believe that's the term. So that one is a little bit different program.
Do you have any more questions?
I sure don't.
Director Zomber.
Thank you. I guess one more question about our plans for increasing the number of painters. Can administration talk a little bit? I know we're contracting out. Are we also planning on increasing the number of staff that we have?
Chair O'Halloran, Director Zombor, yes, we are going to be speaking to that in the budget and upcoming for any facility investments we'll be making to address not only the lead, but to address understaffing within the department.
Thank you. With that, I'm passing the gavel back.
Thank you. Oh, I see Director Jackson.
Yeah, and if I may, just to address your question with the students in the past, I know I've, in talking to previous director Sean Kane, that the students have been a part of previous projects and to get those hours with the various companies who applied for it during the bid contract. Okay. So, yeah, we make sure that the students are a part of that.
Thank you. Do any other committee members have questions, wish to make comments? Mulling over a motion. Don't want to rush anybody into anything. Okay, President Zombor.
Thank you, Chair. Who was the gavel? Chair O'Halloran, yep. I move approval of the administration's recommendation to approve the attached construction contracts, emergency contracts, and emergency purchases.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation regarding the FMS award of construction, emergency contracts, and emergency purchases, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Reza.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 9 is action on a request to approve the 8th Amendment to the lease agreement with Danner. Did we move this one? Is this the one? No. Okay.
Next one.
Item 9 is action on a request to approve the 8th Amendment to the lease agreement with Banner Day Learning Corps at the 35th Street School property located at 3517 West Cortlandt Avenue. The recommendation is that the board approve the 8th Amendment to the lease agreement with Banner Day Learning Corps.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent, we're asking your approval of the 8th Amendment to the lease agreement for Banner Day Learning Group. I have here with me Michelle Lenski and Mr. Mike Terza to answer any questions you have concerning this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slip.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I don't see any. What is the,
For clarification.
Director Jackson.
Yeah. This contract is just for, extension is just for a year. Yes.
Administration.
Chair O'Halloran.
Director Jackson.
Director Jackson. Yes, this is for 1 year, and it will align the lease with their charter contract.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson.
I move that we approve the request to the 8th Amendment to the lease agreement with Banner Day Learning Corporation at 35th Street School.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the request to approve the 8th Amendment to the lease agreement with Banner Day Learning Corps at 35th Street School property, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Reza.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I want to make sure, administration, I would like to honor a request. I believe there was a switch in the agenda, a request that we do items 10 and 11 in reverse order. And so we will take the item regarding Thurston Woods Space first, is my understanding. So with all of that said, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 11 is action on a request to terminate a lease agreement with Little Scholars Daycare at the Thurston Woods campus located at 3320 West Wren Avenue. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached termination of the lease agreement with Little Scholars Daycare.
Thank you. Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent, we're asking your approval to terminate a lease agreement with Little Scholars Daycare. I have here with me Michelle Lenski to summarize this request and address any concerns you have concerning this item.
Okay. Does that complete administration's? Okay. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips.
Do any committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Jackson.
Just water termination of the lease.
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran, Director Jackson. Irma, who is the owner of Little Scholars, has been in this business for 40 years. So she is retiring, and to ensure that her families that receive care from her business, she has found someone to take over, and that would be Granny V's. So she is eagerly awaiting retirement and eager to pass the baton.
Thank you for that explanation. Do we have any other comments or questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Director Herndon.
I recommend that we accept the recommendation of administration and termination of this contract.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Before we vote, I would just like to say thank you to her for providing 40 years of service to our community and ensuring transition for her families. So is there any further discussion after that? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation regarding the termination of the lease agreement with Little Scholars Daycare, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 10 is action on a request to enter into a lease agreement with Granny V's Learning Center, LLC, at the Thurston Woods campus located at 3320 West Wren Street. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached lease agreement with Granny V's Learning Center, LLC.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casselli, Superintendent, we are asking your approval to enter into a lease agreement with Granny V's Learning Center. I have here with me Michelle Lensky to summarize this request and address any questions that you have.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I do not see a single hand. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson.
Yes. I make a motion to approve administration's recommendation for a request to enter into lease agreement with Granny V's Learning Center.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve administration's recommendation to enter into a lease agreement with Granny V's Learning Center, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on this meeting's agenda.
Thank you. There being no further business before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.